You've forgotten so much. The face of your second grade teacher, what you ate for lunch 3 weeks ago, the exact words of an argument you had last month, most of the books you've read, the movies you've watched, the conversations you've had. You've been taught to see this forgetting as failure, as evidence that your brain isn't working properly, that you're not paying enough attention, that you need better focus or stronger memory supplements. But what if I told you that your brain's ability to forget isn't a malfunction? It's one of the most sophisticated, protective mechanisms you possess. What if every memory you've lost was carefully selected for deletion by the wisest part of your mind? Not because you're broken, but because forgetting those specific memories keeps you psychologically healthy, emotionally balanced, and capable of learning new things. Tonight, we're going to understand why your brain protects you by forgetting, and why memory loss might actually be one of the most compassionate gifts your mind gives you every single day. You live in a world obsessed with memory optimization, supplements promising to boost recall, apps designed to strengthen memory, books about memory palaces and retention techniques. The cultural message is clear: forgetting equals failure, and a good brain remembers everything. But recent neuroscience research reveals something revolutionary. Your brain doesn't forget accidentally. It forgets on purpose. Researchers have identified something remarkable. Forgetting serves at least 3 vital functions in your psychology. It's part of emotional regulation, sashi. That's your brain's way of keeping your feelings balanced. It's essential for learning. Forgetting actually helps you get better at things. And it's crucial for staying present. Forgetting keeps you focused on now instead of drowning in your past. Your forgetting isn't random, it's curated. That means your brain carefully chooses what to keep and what to let go, like an editor crafting the story of your life. Every morning when you wake up, your brain has spent the night carefully sorting through the previous day's experiences. Some memories get strengthened and transferred to long-term storage, MS. That's the filing cabinet in your mind where important things stay. Others get deliberately weakened or discarded entirely. This isn't happening because your brain is malfunctioning. It's happening because your brain is protecting you. Research has discovered that the same brain mechanisms responsible for memory consolidation, that's the process of strengthening important memories, are simultaneously responsible for what scientists call adaptive forgetting. That's the active deletion of memories that would interfere with your well-being or your ability to think clearly. You experience this protection system working every single night. While you sleep, your prefrontal cortex, place 6, that's the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and planning, works together with your hippocampus to decide which memories deserve to be preserved and which ones need to be released. Your hippocampus is like your brain's memory center, where new experiences first get processed. This isn't passive decay, like a photograph fading over time. This is active curation. Your brain is functioning like the world's most sophisticated editor, carefully crafting the story of your life by choosing not just what to remember, but what to let go. The memories that survive this nightly editing process aren't necessarily the most factually accurate or the most complete. They're the ones your brain has determined will best serve your ongoing psychological health, your ability to learn and grow, and your capacity to engage meaningfully with your current reality. You've been worried about forgetting things when you should have been grateful that your brain cares enough about your well-being to protect you from carrying the full weight of every moment you've ever lived. You've experienced this exact phenomenon. You've gone through a difficult period in your life. Maybe a painful breakup, a stressful job situation, or a health scare, and while you remember it happened, many of the specific details have faded. The exact words of hurtful conversations, the precise physical sensations of anxiety, the minute-by-minute experience of those difficult days. What happened to those memories wasn't accidental. Your brain actively decided to protect you from carrying the full emotional weight of those experiences forever. Recent research using brain imaging has revealed the specific mechanisms involved in what scientists call motivated forgetting. That's when your brain deliberately weakens certain memories because keeping them vivid would be psychologically harmful. When your brain determines that certain memories would hurt you to retain in detail, your prefrontal cortex actively suppresses activity in your hippocampus, preventing those memories from being fully locked in. This is the opposite of how most people think memory works. You probably imagine that your brain stores everything and then sometimes accidentally loses track of memories. But the research shows that your brain is constantly making active decisions about what deserves to be remembered and what would be better forgotten. Researchers have identified the specific brain circuits involved in this process. When you try to avoid thinking about an unwanted memory, your prefrontal cortex doesn't just suppress your awareness of it, it actually reduces the neural activity in memory regions associated with that experience. It's like your brain is turning down the volume on that particular memory, making it quieter and less intrusive. This isn't repression in the old psychological sense, where memories are buried but continue to influence you unconsciously. This is active forgetting, your brain literally weakening the neural pathways that encode distressing experiences so they become less accessible and less emotionally charged over time. Think of it like a path through a forest. If you stop walking on it, the vegetation grows back and the path disappears. Your brain makes these forgetting decisions based on sophisticated criteria. Memories associated with intense negative emotion, experiences that contradicted your core sense of self, or information that would interfere with your current goals all become candidates for active forgetting. But here's what's fascinating. Your brain doesn't just delete these memories wholesale. Instead, it engages in what researchers call selective forgetting. That means keeping the adaptive lessons from difficult experiences, while letting go of the details that would keep you psychologically trapped in the past. Adaptive means useful for your survival and well-being. You might remember that a particular relationship taught you important lessons about boundaries, about knowing when to say no and protect yourself, while forgetting the specific cruel things that were said during arguments. Your brain preserved what was useful for your future well-being while protecting you from carrying the full emotional burden of those painful moments. This selective process happens primarily during sleep, when your brain has the neurological space to engage in what researchers call memory editing. The same slow-wave sleep rhythms that consolidate important memories simultaneously organize the weakening of memories that it would interfere with your psychological health. Slow-wave sleep is the deepest stage of sleep, when your brain waves move slowly and your body does its deepest restoration. Research has discovered that during certain phases of sleep, your brain literally replays recent experiences in reverse, which appears to help extract useful patterns while discarding emotionally overwhelming details. Your sleeping brain is like a compassionate therapist, helping you keep the wisdom from difficult experiences while releasing you from having to carry their full emotional weight. Studies have shown that when researchers played subtle audio cues associated with negative memories while participants slept, those memories became less emotionally distressing when recalled later, even though the participants had no conscious awareness of hearing the cues during sleep. This suggests that your brain uses sleep as an opportunity to actively regulate the emotional intensity of your memories, protecting you from being overwhelmed by the full force of past experiences that might otherwise interfere with your capacity to engage with present moment reality. Your forgetting also serves what researchers call cognitive load management. That's your brain making sure you don't get overwhelmed with too much information. Your working memory, Your brain's ability to hold information in active awareness has limited capacity. Think of it like your phone's RAM. It can only handle so many apps running at once. If you retained vivid access to every experience you'd ever had, your cognitive resources would be overwhelmed by irrelevant information, making it difficult to focus on current tasks or learn new things. By actively forgetting details that aren't relevant to your current life, your brain ensures that your mental resources remain available for present moment awareness and new learning. This is why you can't remember what you had for lunch 2 weeks ago, not because your brain failed to record that information, but because your brain correctly determined that preserving those details wouldn't serve your ongoing psychological needs. You've noticed this pattern in your own life. The sting of embarrassing moments gradually fades over time. The acute pain of losses becomes more bearable. The overwhelming intensity of anger, fear, or sadness naturally diminishes, even when you're not consciously trying to get over these experiences. This isn't just the passage of time healing wounds. This is your brain actively protecting your emotional well-being by gradually reducing your access to the most distressing aspects of difficult memories. Research on memory reconsolidation has revealed something remarkable about how your brain handles emotionally charged memories. Reconsolidation means the process of resaving a memory after you've recalled it. Every time you recall a traumatic or highly emotional experience, that memory becomes temporarily unstable and has to be resaved by your brain. During this resaving process, your brain has the opportunity to modify the memory, often reducing its emotional intensity. This is why traumatic memories often become less overwhelming over time, even without therapy. Each time your brain accesses these memories, which it does periodically during sleep and rest, it has the opportunity to reduce their emotional charge while preserving any adaptive information they contain. Your brain engages in this emotional regulation through forgetting because carrying the full emotional weight of every difficult experience you've ever had would be psychologically unbearable. Research has shown that people with certain neurological conditions that prevent normal forgetting often struggle with overwhelming emotional reactivity because they can't benefit from their brain's natural ability to dampen the emotional intensity of past experiences. They feel everything from their past as if it's happening right now. The forgetting that protects your emotional well-being is highly selective. Your brain tends to preserve memories of overcoming challenges while letting go of the detailed experience of suffering through them. You remember that you survived difficult periods, that you learned important lessons, that you demonstrated resilience, but the day-to-day experience of pain, confusion, or fear becomes less vivid and accessible. This selective forgetting serves what psychologists call positivity bias. That's your brain's tendency to maintain a generally optimistic outlook despite having experienced difficulties. Research shows that people with healthy forgetting patterns tend to have better mental health outcomes, more stable relationships, and greater life satisfaction than people who retain vivid access to all negative experiences. Your brain also uses forgetting to protect you from what researchers call emotional flooding. That's becoming so overwhelmed by the emotional content of memories that you can't function effectively in the present. By gradually reducing the emotional accessibility of distressing memories, your brain ensures that you can access useful information from your past without being overwhelmed by the feelings associated with those experiences. Studies of emotional memory processing during sleep have shown that your brain actively works on emotional experiences during REM sleep. That's the stage of sleep where you dream most vividly, often reducing their distressing qualities while preserving their informational content. You might wake up from a night of processing a difficult experience with clearer perspective on what happened and less emotional reactivity to thinking about it. This isn't emotional avoidance or psychological denial. This is adaptive emotional regulation, your brain helping you maintain psychological stability while still allowing you to learn from your experiences. Your brain's forgetting systems also protect you from what psychologists call rumination loops. That's repetitive thinking patterns that can develop when distressing memories remain too emotionally accessible, when you keep going over and over the same painful thoughts. By gradually reducing your capacity to vividly re-experience past difficulties, your brain helps prevent you from getting stuck in cycles of reliving painful experiences. Research has shown that people with depression often have impaired adaptive forgetting. They retain too much emotional access to negative memories, which can fuel ongoing psychological distress. Effective treatments for depression often help restore healthy forgetting patterns, allowing people to remember difficult experiences without being overwhelmed by their emotional content. Your brain's protective forgetting extends to social memories as well. You tend to forget the specific details of minor social slights, awkward interactions, or embarrassing moments, not because these experiences weren't important when they happened, but because carrying vivid memories of every social disappointment would make it difficult to maintain the trust and openness necessary for healthy relationships. This social forgetting allows you to give people second chances, to approach new social situations with optimism rather than hypervigilance that's being overly watchful for danger, and to maintain your capacity for connection despite having experienced social pain in the past. The forgetting that protects your emotional well-being isn't just individual, it's also relational. Your brain tends to preserve memories of meaningful connections, acts of kindness, and experiences of being cared for, while letting go of many details of conflicts, disappointments, or moments when others fell short of your expectations. This isn't naive or unrealistic. This is your brain prioritizing information that supports your ongoing capacity for trust, love, and social connection, recognizing that your psychological well-being depends more on your ability to maintain meaningful relationships than on maintaining detailed records of every time you've been hurt or disappointed. You've experienced this transformation countless times, a complicated, messy, emotionally charged experience gradually becomes a story with clear lessons, obvious turning points, and meaningful insights. What was once overwhelming complexity has been refined into wisdom. This isn't just perspective gained through time. This is your brain actively transforming raw experience into usable knowledge through sophisticated forgetting processes. Research on memory consolidation has revealed that your brain doesn't just store experiences, it actively edits them during the consolidation process, extracting patterns and lessons while discarding details that would interfere with learning. This is why your memories of learning experiences often become clearer and more coherent over time, even as you forget many specific details of how that learning actually occurred. Your brain engages in what cognitive scientists call semantic extraction. That's the process of pulling general knowledge and principles from specific experiences while allowing the contextual details to fade. Semantic means related to meaning and concepts rather than specific events. This is how you develop expertise, not by remembering every specific instance of practicing a skill, but by extracting the underlying patterns that guide effective performance. You've learned to drive not by remembering every specific driving lesson, but by extracting the general principles of vehicle control, traffic awareness, and route navigation from thousands of specific driving experiences, most of which you've forgotten completely. The forgetting of specific details enabled the extraction of transferable skills. This same process applies to emotional and social learning. Your brain extracts general wisdom about relationships, personal values, and effective coping strategies from specific experiences, while allowing many details of those experiences to fade. You develop what psychologists call emotional intelligence. That's your ability to understand and manage emotions, not by remembering every emotional experience in detail, but by extracting patterns about emotional regulation, social dynamics, and personal resilience. Research has shown that memory interference, process the tendency for old memories to interfere with new learning, is actively prevented by forgetting processes. Your brain weakens memories that would interfere with acquiring new knowledge or skills, essentially clearing cognitive space for continued growth and adaptation. This is why people who have difficulty with adaptive forgetting often struggle with flexibility and new learning. When your brain retains too much detail from past experiences, those detailed memories can interfere with your ability to see new situations clearly or respond to changed circumstances effectively. Your brain's wisdom creation process involves what researchers call schema formation. That's the development of general frameworks for understanding recurring types of experiences. A schema is like a mental template, a general pattern your brain has learned from many similar experiences. These schemas are extracted from multiple specific memories while the details of individual experiences fade, allowing you to recognize patterns and respond effectively to new situations that share similar characteristics. You've developed schemas for recognizing trustworthy people, identifying potentially dangerous situations, understanding your own emotional patterns, and navigating complex social dynamics. These schemas weren't formed by remembering every specific interaction in detail, but by extracting common elements from many experiences while forgetting the specifics that would make each memory cognitively overwhelming. The forgetting involved in wisdom creation is highly selective and sophisticated. Your brain preserves information that has predictive value for future situations while discarding details that are specific to particular contexts. This allows you to benefit from your experiences without being trapped by them. Research on expert performance has shown that expertise involves what cognitive scientists call meaningful patterns, the ability to recognize important configurations quickly because similar patterns have been extracted from many previous experiences. Experts in any field have forgotten most of the specific instances of their practice while retaining the extracted patterns that guide their skilled performance. This pattern extraction through forgetting also applies to personal growth and self-understanding. Your sense of who you are, your identity, values, and personal narrative is not based on remembering every detail of your life experiences. Instead, it's based on patterns extracted from those experiences through selective forgetting processes. You understand your own personality patterns not by remembering every specific instance of being introverted or extroverted, anxious or confident, but by extracting general themes from many specific experiences while forgetting most of the contextual details. This allows your self-understanding to be coherent and stable while still allowing for growth and change. Your brain also uses forgetting to update outdated knowledge and beliefs. When you learn new information that contradicts old beliefs, your brain doesn't just add the new information. It often actively weakens access to the conflicting old information, helping prevent cognitive confusion and allowing new learning to guide your behavior effectively. This updating process is crucial for psychological health and continued learning throughout your life. People who have difficulty forgetting outdated information often struggle with adapting to new circumstances or integrating new learning with their existing knowledge base. The wisdom created through forgetting isn't just individual, it's also cultural. Human societies develop collective wisdom partly through forgetting processes that preserve valuable cultural knowledge while allowing outdated or harmful information to fade from collective memory. Cultural traditions, moral principles, and practical knowledge are preserved and transmitted precisely because the specific contexts in which they were learned have been forgotten, making the knowledge more universally applicable. Your personal wisdom follows similar principles. The insights you've gained from your life experiences become most useful when they're extracted from their original contexts through forgetting processes that preserve their essence while discarding details that would limit their applicability to new situations. You've had moments when the past felt more real than the present, when memories were so vivid and emotionally charged that they dominated your awareness, making it difficult to engage with current reality. In those moments, you experienced what happens when forgetting isn't working properly. Your brain's ability to protect you through forgetting isn't just about managing difficult memories. It's about ensuring that your consciousness remains primarily oriented toward your current reality rather than being overwhelmed by the accumulated weight of your entire past. Research on attention and working memory has revealed that consciousness has limited capacity. You can only hold so much information in active awareness at any given moment. If your brain didn't actively forget most of your experiences, your consciousness would be flooded with irrelevant information from the past, making it impossible to focus on present moment reality. Research has shown that one of the primary functions of sleep is synaptic downscaling. That's the systematic weakening of neural connections that aren't relevant to current functioning. Synaptic means related to synapses, which are the connection points between brain cells. During sleep, your brain essentially declutters itself, weakening memories and neural patterns that would interfere with clear thinking and present moment awareness. This nightly decluttering process ensures that when you wake up, your cognitive resources are available for engaging with current reality, rather than being occupied by maintaining access to every experience you've ever had. Your forgetting creates mental space for new experiences, new learning, and present moment responsiveness. You experience this protective forgetting in many ways throughout your life. You forget most of the content of books you've read, movies you've watched, and conversations you've had, not because your brain failed to encode this information, but because your brain correctly determined that maintaining detailed access to all of this information would interfere with your ability to have new experiences and learn new things. Your brain preserves what was meaningful or useful from these experiences while letting go of details that would clutter your consciousness if retained. This allows you to benefit from your cultural and social experiences without being cognitively overwhelmed by their accumulated details. The present moment awareness created by adaptive forgetting also protects you from what psychologists call temporal displacement. Current reality. People with certain memory disorders who cannot forget normally often report feeling trapped in the past, unable to engage fully with present circumstances because their consciousness is dominated by vivid memories. Your healthy forgetting allows you to carry forward the lessons and insights from your past while remaining psychologically available for current experiences. This is why you can learn from past mistakes without being paralyzed by shame about them, benefit from past successes without being trapped by nostalgia for them, and maintain relationships despite remembering that people have sometimes disappointed you. Research has shown that people with optimal mental health have a particular pattern of memory functioning. They retain access to positive memories that support their sense of self and relationships, maintain access to learning from past challenges, but have limited detailed access to experiences that would interfere with present moment functioning or psychological well-being. This selective memory profile isn't the result of conscious effort. It's the outcome of your brain's sophisticated forgetting processes working to maintain optimal psychological functioning. Your brain is constantly making decisions about which aspects of your past deserve continued access and which aspects would be better released. Your brain's protection of present moment awareness through forgetting also involves what researchers call proactive interference reduction. That's when old memories interfere with your ability to form new memories or see new situations clearly. Proactive means looking forward, so it's about old stuff getting in the way of new stuff. By actively forgetting details that aren't relevant to current circumstances, your brain prevents old experiences from distorting your perception of new ones. This is why you can approach new relationships with optimism despite having been hurt in past relationships. take on new challenges despite having failed at previous ones, and remain open to new experiences despite having had some disappointing experiences in the past. Your adaptive forgetting prevents past experiences from creating excessive caution or pessimism about present opportunities. The present moment awareness, enabled by forgetting, also supports what psychologists call psychological flexibility. That's your ability to adapt your thinking and behavior to current circumstances rather than being rigidly influenced by past experiences. People with healthy forgetting patterns tend to be more adaptable, more open to new experiences, and better able to respond appropriately to changing circumstances. Your brain's protective forgetting creates what researchers call cognitive freshness, the ability to approach familiar situations with openness rather than being overly influenced by previous encounters with similar circumstances. This cognitive freshness is essential for continued learning, creative problem solving, and maintaining curiosity about life. Without adequate forgetting, your consciousness would become increasingly burdened by accumulated experiences, making it progressively harder to remain present, learn new things, or respond spontaneously to life's opportunities and challenges. Your forgetting isn't memory failure, it's consciousness protection. The present moment awareness created by forgetting also supports your capacity for what philosophers call beginner's mind. That's the ability to approach experiences with fresh perspective rather than being overly influenced by preconceptions based on past experiences. This beginner's mind is crucial for continued growth, learning, and genuine engagement with life. You've experienced the profound relief of forgetting, the way traumatic memories gradually lose their sharp edges, how embarrassing moments become amusing stories, the way past hurts transform from sources of ongoing pain into sources of hard-won wisdom. This transformation isn't just time healing wounds, it's your brain actively protecting your capacity for joy, connection, and forward movement by carefully editing your relationship to difficult experiences. Recent research on trauma and memory has revealed something remarkable about how your brain handles experiences that threaten to overwhelm your psychological resources. Rather than storing traumatic experiences as permanent, unchanging records, your brain actively works to transform these memories in ways that preserve their adaptive value while reducing their capacity to cause ongoing psychological harm. Research has shown that traumatic memories aren't fixed entities stored permanently in your brain. Instead, every time you remember a traumatic experience, that memory becomes temporarily unstable and must be resaved. During this resaving process, your brain has the opportunity to modify the memory, often reducing its emotional intensity while preserving important survival information. This is why exposure-based trauma therapies can be effective. They provide opportunities for traumatic memories to be reprocessed and stored in less distressing ways. But this healing process also happens naturally over time through your brain's protective forgetting mechanisms, even without therapy. Your brain's healing through forgetting is highly sophisticated. It tends to preserve aspects of traumatic experiences that contain useful information for future protection, while allowing details that would only serve to re-traumatize you to fade. You might remember that certain situations are potentially dangerous without retaining vivid sensory memories of being harmed. You might remember that you survived difficult experiences without having to re-experience the full emotional intensity of going through them. Research has shown that people with post-traumatic stress disorder often have impaired adaptive forgetting, NC. They retain too much vivid access to traumatic memories, which prevents natural healing processes from occurring. Effective PTSD treatments often help restore healthy forgetting patterns, allowing traumatic experiences to be integrated into personal history without continuing to dominate consciousness. Your brain's healing through forgetting extends beyond major traumatic experiences to the countless smaller wounds that accumulate throughout life. The criticism that hurt your feelings, the social rejection that made you feel inadequate, the failure that shook your confidence. These experiences often lose much of their emotional charge over time through protective forgetting processes. This doesn't mean you become naive or fail to learn from difficult experiences. Instead, your brain extracts adaptive information from these experiences, developing better boundaries, improving social skills, building resilience, while allowing the specific emotional pain associated with them to fade. The forgetting involved in emotional healing often involves what researchers call memory updating. That's when your brain modifies stored memories based on new information and experiences. A memory of being criticized might be updated with subsequent experiences of being appreciated, reducing the emotional impact of the original criticism while preserving any useful feedback it contained. Your brain also engages in contextual forgetting. That's reducing your access to environmental and emotional details associated with difficult experiences while preserving core information. You might remember the lessons learned from a toxic relationship while forgetting many specific arguments, manipulative behaviors, or emotional attacks that would only serve to reactivate old wounds. This contextual forgetting allows you to benefit from the wisdom gained through difficult experiences without being repeatedly re-traumatized by vivid memories of exactly how those lessons were learned. It's your brain prioritizing your ongoing psychological health over maintaining complete historical records of your experiences. Research on resilience has shown that people who recover well from adversity tend to have particular patterns of memory functioning. They retain access to their sense of agency and capability during difficult times, while often having reduced access to details of suffering or helplessness. This isn't denial or avoidance, it's adaptive memory editing that supports psychological recovery. Your brain's healing through forgetting also involves what psychologists call meaning-making. That's the process of transforming difficult experiences into coherent narratives that support personal growth, rather than ongoing victimization. This meaning-making process often involves forgetting details that would interfere with seeing difficult experiences as opportunities for learning and development. You've probably experienced this transformation in your own life, looking back on difficulties that once felt overwhelming and finding that while you remember they were challenging, you have limited access to the day-to-day experience of suffering through them. Instead, you remember your resilience, the support you received, the insights you gained, and the strength you discovered. This transformation isn't the result of conscious effort to reframe experiences positively. It's the natural outcome of your brain's protective forgetting processes working to preserve your psychological well-being while allowing you to benefit from all of your life experiences, including the difficult ones. The healing power of forgetting also creates space for forgiveness, both of others and of yourself. When your brain reduces your access to detailed memories of being hurt or disappointed, it becomes easier to see past actions in the context of human imperfection rather than as permanent evidence of malice or inadequacy. This forgetting-based forgiveness isn't superficial or fake. It's based on your brain's wisdom about what serves your ongoing psychological health and relational capacity. Carrying detailed grudges and self-criticisms would interfere with your ability to maintain loving relationships and compassionate self-regard. As we come to the end of our time together tonight, I want you to consider a completely different relationship to your own forgetting. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you won't remember most of the specific details of your day today. You won't remember exactly what you were thinking about at 2:47 p.m., or precisely how your lunch tasted, or the exact content of most conversations you had. You've been taught to see this as a limitation, as evidence that you're not paying enough attention or that your memory isn't working properly. But now you understand that this forgetting represents one of the most compassionate services your brain provides. While you sleep tonight, your brain will carefully review today's experiences and make sophisticated decisions about what deserves to be preserved and what would be better released. This isn't random deletion, it's wise curation. Your brain will preserve the meaningful connections you made today, the insights that emerged from your experiences, and the information that might be useful for future situations. It will also gently release the emotional residue of minor frustrations, the details of routine activities that served their purpose and are now complete, and any experiences that would only clutter your consciousness if retained in vivid detail. When you forget someone's name, you're not experiencing cognitive failure. You're experiencing your brain's decision that this particular piece of information isn't essential for your ongoing well-being or functioning. When you can't recall exactly what happened during a stressful period in your life, you're not losing important history. You're being protected from carrying emotional burdens that would interfere with your present moment capacity for joy and connection. Your forgetting is not a bug in your cognitive system, it's a feature. It's evidence that your brain cares more about your ongoing psychological health than about maintaining perfect records of everything you've ever experienced. This doesn't mean you should stop trying to pay attention or that memory isn't important. It means you can trust your brain's wisdom about what deserves to be remembered and what serves you better when released. Your conscious efforts to remember important information work in partnership with your brain's unconscious decisions about what to preserve and what to let go. The people you love most don't love you because you remember every detail of your shared experiences. They love you because of who you've become through those experiences. The patterns of care, loyalty, humor, and wisdom that have been extracted from countless specific moments, most of which have been forgotten to make space for continued growth and present moment connection. Your identity isn't based on maintaining access to every experience you've ever had. It's based on the patterns, values, and capacities that have emerged from those experiences through the sophisticated process of remembering what serves your authentic development while forgetting what would only weigh you down. As you prepare for sleep, you can appreciate that your brain will spend the night caring for you in ways you're not even conscious of. It will strengthen memories that support your sense of self, your relationships, and your capacity for continued learning. It will weaken memories that would interfere with these goals. It will extract wisdom from today's experiences while releasing details that would only clutter tomorrow's consciousness. This is happening not because your brain is malfunctioning, but because your brain is working exactly as it evolved to work, prioritizing your psychological well-being, your capacity for growth, and your ability to remain present and responsive to life's ongoing opportunities. Your forgetting is a gift. It's your brain's way of ensuring that your consciousness remains fresh, your emotions remain balanced, and your attention remains available for the people and experiences that matter most in your current reality. Rest tonight knowing that your brain's protective forgetting will leave you tomorrow with access to what truly matters while having released what would only burden you. Your memory isn't failing you, it's serving you with wisdom you could never consciously match. Sweet dreams, and trust the compassionate intelligence of your own beautiful, forgetting mind.